Welcome back to the Koine Greek mini course. In this session, we will begin digging into the nitty-gritty of the language with our lesson, Character Development, the Greek alphabet and accents. Now, just a quick note as we get started that this lesson will be a little longer and a lot more information heavy. So in order to balance that out, lesson 3 will focus on solidifying the information that we're going to learn in this lesson. Letters are the building blocks of any written language. The unique marks that we call letters or characters are essentially meaningless in and of themselves. That is, until we assign a particular value or sound to a letter. For example, the letter S has no intrinsic value of its own, but as an English-speaking culture, we have assigned it the value, kind of like Bitcoin. It's has no value in and of its own, but there is a value assigned to it. And with the letter S, we have given it the value of the S sound. S. This symbol now has a value, but it doesn't have much by way of meaning. That problem is solved when the value is combined with letters of another assigned value. For example, stick. And then when you say the word stick, when you combine those values together, it should bring a picture into your mind. It should bring up a meaning of some kind. All written languages have this basic foundation, and Koine Greek is no different. In this lesson, you'll be introduced to the symbols, or letters, of the language along with their assigned value of sounds. Another quick note on pronunciation. There are two main ways of Koine pronunciation. The first is the modern pronunciation, which is just what it sounds like. It uses modern-day Greek pronunciation. And the second is Erasmus pronunciation, and this is the pronunciation that I am using because A, that's how I learned it, and B, because I believe it is better for teaching as it differentiates between the sounds more clearly. So here's a bit of good news. If you know the word alphabet, you already know the first two letters of Koine Greek, alpha and beta. Congratulations, you're already 9% on your way to mastering your Greek alphabet. So as we mentioned already, the first letter of the alphabet is alpha, which sounds like the word A in father. The second letter is beta, which sounds like the B in the word ball. Gamma makes the G sound like in ground. Delta makes the D sound like in dog. Epsilon makes the short E sound like in bed. Zeta makes the Z sound like in zebra. Eta makes the long E sound like the A in 8. Or if you're Canadian like me, you can just say A. Theta makes the th sound as in teeth. Iota makes the I sound like in sink. Kappa makes the K sound like in sink again. Lambda makes the L sound like in lamb. Mu makes the M sound like in mark. Nu makes the N sound as in 9. Xi makes the X sound like in box. Omicron makes the short O sound as in cod. P or pi makes the P sound as in pie. Rho makes the R sound as in rice. Sigma makes the S sound as in cell. And an extra note here that when a word ends with the letter sigma, the shape changes slightly. This is called a final sigma, but the sound remains the same. Tau makes the T sound as in tab. Upsilon makes the U sound as in universe. Phi makes the PH sound as in phone. Ki makes the k sound as in loch. Psi makes the ps sound, as in chips. Omega makes the long O sound, as in obey. The Greek language is spoken with almost a musical rhythm to it, and the accents aid in understanding what that sounds like. Accents can have an impact on the meaning of words in Koine Greek, but it is quite rare. There are 3 accents in Koine Greek. The first is acute. The accent angles upwards, and your voice goes up. A helpful way to remember this is that someone with a high-pitched voice typically sounds cute. It's acute accent. It's high-pitched. It goes up. The second is the grave accent. So the accent mark angles downwards. Your voice goes down. And when your voice pitches down, it's helpful to think of it going down into the grave. It's a grave accent. The third and final accent mark is circumflex. The accent angles up and then down like a rainbow, or some texts have it as more of a wave line. Your voice goes up and then down. A helpful way to remember this is if you have muscles, when you flex your arm, the profile goes up and then down, circumflex. Now for our purposes, the accent is just going to indicate where we will put the stress on a word or put the emphasis on a word. We don't want to take too much time trying to think about if our voice is going up or if our voice is going down and that sort of thing. So the way that we're going to think about it is in terms of stress. For example, the acute accent on the word pollen means that we emphasize that first syllable pa, pollen. It's not pollen, it's pollen. Our second example with the grave accent, meta. So it's not meta, it's meta. Our emphasis is on the last syllable there, the ta. And thirdly, circumflex, semeon. So it's not semeon, it's semeon. Now lastly, there are breathing marks. And there are 2 kinds of breathing marks in Koine Greek. The first is smooth, and then there's also a rough breathing mark. The smooth breathing mark doesn't really affect pronunciation of a word at all. However, the rough breathing mark indicates the addition of an H sound, so like huh, which is a rough breathing. So for example, the word Uranos, heaven, has a smooth breathing, so it doesn't start with hu, it starts with u, Uranos. And that's where we get the English word Uranus. Rough breathing, on the other hand, for example, we have this word haughty. So it's not aughty, it's haughty. You add a rough breathing or an H sound at the beginning of the word. And this word means since or because. So note the addition of the H sound at the beginning of the word, like in the word hat. So it would be similar, ha, ha. Now I've, as part of this lesson, included a practice sheet for you where you can practice writing out the letters of the alphabet, and repetition is really important here. The more you write it out, the easier it will be. And there are some characters, there are some letters that are quite challenging. Xi comes to mind. That one is usually quite challenging for people to remember or draw even. So take some time with that practice sheet, and it has the accents and the breathing marks as well. I don't think you'll need to work on those ones as much, but that is there for practice as well. Another thing I want to encourage you to do as we wrap up this lesson is that there are songs, like alphabet songs, like we would have learned as English speakers with the ABC song. They make songs like that for the Greek alphabet as well. So if you go on a site like YouTube and just search Greek alphabet song, there will be songs there that will help you memorize the alphabet much better. I, to this day, have an alphabet song that I use in my head when I'm going through the letters of the alphabet. So I'd encourage you to do that as well, just to solidify this information. Now, this was a bit of a bigger lesson with a lot of information to take in, and a large part of the work for you is going to take place after this lesson's over with practicing in that. So for the next lesson, we are going to take some time just to look at words and their pronunciation, and we'll learn a couple of things along the way, but nothing major. And we're going to do that so we can solidify the things that you have learned in this lesson. And with that, we'll leave it for today, and I will see you in the next lesson.